Hi everyone, I just want to put some concluding thoughts to what I think to Kharkov battles. I've just finished playing the larger scenario, the larger historical scenario that comes with the game. I have AARs for all the three scenarios, so you can watch those. And I did an unboxing as well, which I kind of gave some thoughts about sort of the components. I don't see the need to go over the components again. I will touch on a couple of things though. I don't have full Blau. For some reason I thought I did, but I don't. And this is a standalone game. You don't need full Blau. If you do have that game from Compass Games, you can incorporate this one of the maps, and there's an extended campaign that's a huge number of turns, a crazy number of turns, 60, 70 turns, something like that. Which, if you do have that, that would be, you could do that if you wanted. As a standalone game, I enjoyed all the scenarios. I enjoyed elements of the mechanics. I do like the fact that I've mentioned this before in some of the videos about this game, that you have these little chits that represent the strength of the counters. Most war games, the strength of the counter, the combat points, whatever you want to call it, is visible on the counter. With this game, some of the units, that's not the case. And you randomly pull one of these chits, and that tells you the strength points of the counter. So from a gameplay point of view, you don't know the exact strength of each counter. And I really enjoyed that. It's particularly good for playing the game solo. All the combat, the movement, lines of supplies, pretty straightforward. The combat tables are interesting because the column that you use depends on the terrain rather than the terrain modifying the column or modifying the dice results, which is pretty normal. So if your opponent's in the hills or the woods, you use a different column compared to if they were in the clear, rather than modifying the dice rolls or the column shift. There are some column shifts as well, and I liked that. I enjoyed all the actual mechanics. I enjoyed. The rulebook is good. This is I would consider this sort of a medium complex. It's always difficult to sort of gauge on the complexity scale. For me, from how I look at it, I would describe it as sort of medium complexity. In some ways, it's a little higher than medium. In some other areas, it's a little bit lower. But the rulebook's generally good. I did find there were certain paragraphs in the rules that I read and reread and read and reread and read and reread and almost drove myself round in circles. So in the end, I just made some decisions myself as to how I thought the rules should be interpreted. If there's niggles that I had with the game, not really many. The counters are small. And I play under, you can't see, but I play under lights for when I'm filming, and I use the same lights a lot when I'm playing. This game benefited from that, definitely. I felt the counters a little small, and the stacks aren't too big. Maybe because of those hidden chits, you've got maybe stacks of 6 counters, and the hexes are quite small, and the counters are quite small, and sometimes some of the information on the counters could be a little hard to read. It's not the movement points and the strength points, combat points, etc. They're all straightforward. It's maybe on the setup when you set in the game up, and it's the same true with some of the hex numbers on the maps when you're setting up. It wasn't insurmountable. It's just a little niggle. In terms of sort of value for money, I played all the 3 scenarios. The first 2 don't take very long, although they're the last 2 in the rulebook. So a long evening, and then the actual longer scenario, which is 16 turns, which I've just done, that took a few evenings to play through. So I felt like for the components and what I got in the game and the amount of enjoyment I got out of the game, I thought it was good value for money. Probably the biggest thing for me that I enjoyed, I would say, was, and I've talked about this in the AARs that I did, was that there's a good sense of the narrative playing out which is what I look for when I'm playing the game. I've only played the game solo. I'd love to play the game 2-player. I'm not entirely sure I'll ever have an opportunity. I could imagine how the mechanics will lend themselves very well to a 2-player game, but it does solo nicely. There's no AI. It's not a solitaire game. It's not designed for solitaire, but it solos well for playing both sides. And how I would normally play this game solo, and I've done this a little bit, though I didn't share that in my recordings. I would play out an encounter or a tactic, try it out, see what happens, reset it all, try something different. I do that a lot when I'm playing games solo. So it's as much about playing the game as it is about learning the scenario and learning the rules, and then learning and tweaking specific parts of that scenario. And you can do all of that really well. And there is a great narrative that plays out in the battles. The last thing I probably would say, my concluding thought, is if you have full Blau and you want to play more of that system, then I think this is great. If you don't have full Blau, and this is the biggest thing I want to talk about, is it's out of print, and it would be better. So if anyone from Compass Games is listening, it would be great if it could be in print whilst this game's in print, because I would, if I could go and buy full Blau now here in the UK from Second Chance Games, I absolutely would go and buy that, because I've learned most of the system. I want to play more, but I feel like I want to play more different types of scenarios, different types of stories to play out using the system. If you have full Blau, I think it's a no-brainer, and if you enjoy it, and I'm sure from what I can gather most people do. So yeah, that's kind of, I think it's a fun standalone game. It's compelling. There's enough mechanics and interesting mechanics and nuances, and I would say I feel like there's a lot more that I can learn about this game. So it's got a depth to it, which I think is really important. So a recommendation from me, especially if you have full Blau. Please, Compass Games, get full Blau back in print. And yeah, that's probably about it from me. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you watched all the AARs, if you haven't, they're on my YouTube channel, so you can check those out as well. But yeah, great stuff. Thanks again for watching. Thank you.